Welcome to the Conquer Your Life podcast. And welcome back to the Conquer Your Life podcast. I am your host, Janelle Montero. And today we are getting back to our interviews. I'm so excited to bring to you Kelsey Aida, who is a best-selling author, transformational facilitator in the personal development space. And she's helped thousands of women upgrade their lives and love themselves fully through the process of her books, her blog, her online courses, her international retreats, which, by the way, I can't wait to talk about because I want to hear more about this, one-on-one coaching, and her podcast. So we'll talk later about how you can connect with her. But today we are going to learn the do's and don'ts that will help you and your manifesting game in 2023 and beyond. And so you can have fun with it and really understand what it's all about, because we hear this word tossed around so much. Am I right? And we don't really, some people I think still are confused by it. Like, how do you manifest? Like I put desires in my mind, but how do I actually get them to work for me? And I think we resist our actual true things that we desire a lot of the time. So we're going to dive into that. So welcome, Kelsey. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here and nerd out on one of my favorite topics.
Yes, exactly. You wouldn't have wrote a book about it if it wasn't one of your favorite topics, right?
Yes,
so
2 books actually.
How did you get so interested in it? Like, did you start to really find things in your own life that you started to manifest? And then you were just like, wow, like I'm on my high flying disc and I need to spread this love. Like, how did you get started?
Kind of, yeah. So as any great manifestation begins, the story starts in the contrast of my life. Okay, so let's rewind to my first dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening. I was suffering from depression for 3 years. I was in my late teens, early adulthood, and I just needed to figure out how to enjoy my life, how to be healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, and how to just not be depressed anymore, because I was like getting to the point where I was like, okay, I need to figure this life thing out. Otherwise, I'm just like gonna exit on my own accord. So I kind of made an ultimatum with the universe, like, universe, God, whoever's listening, my higher self, like, help me. I need help. I don't know how to feel better. I don't know how to feel empowered. I don't know how to enjoy my life. Somehow I fell into this slippery slope of depression, and here we are, and I hate it and I need out. So that was kind of my first way of prayer, manifestation. And when I said that, when I declared that, not out loud, but in my mind, I started manifesting all the right resources, teachers, new perspectives, support, ideas for how to feel better. A great therapist, a great chiropractor, like my support team just came right in when I asked for the help in physical and in the non-physical. And when I learned how to feel better, I started raising my vibration. I healed from depression. I was feeling amazing. I was feeling even better than I felt before I got sick with the depression. And I was just like, dang, if everybody could have access to this information, if everybody could understand energy, if everyone could understand the power of their mind, the power of their intentions, if everyone could understand how to be a more deliberate creator and craft a life that they really love, like, the world would be such a more fun place to be.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes.
And less dysfunctional. So in my mind, naturally, I was like, I'm going to be the next Deepak Chopra. I want to write all these self-help books. I'm going to teach the people what's worked for me, all these processes, all these universal knowings, all these downloads that I'm getting. And so that's when I wanted to become an author and start teaching. And then that evolved into, well, first it was a blog, because I was like, nobody's heard of me. I don't want this book to be in vain. Let me build a following. So I wrote a blog. I was writing about healing from anxiety and healing from depression and raising your vibration and little things on manifestation here and there, and just energy work and healing and spirituality and personal growth. And then I wrote my first book, #Actually I Can, The Art of Affirming Yourself to Greatness, which is like an affirmation Bible that I wanted to create, because I felt like affirmations are so like phony, like fake it till you make it, like just say this a million times and it'll come true. And I'm just like, no, that's not how it works. So I wrote a whole book on that. And then from there, it just kind of evolved into this podcast, a couple online courses, more books, retreats, one-on-one coaching. So now it's just evolved into a whole thing where I get to teach people how to manifest their dreams, how to align energetically with what they want, how to craft and sculpt their dream life in a really deliberate and empowered way, and how to love themselves through that process. Because what I learned is the manifestation process is not just one of creation and intention setting and making things happen, but it's really a process of coming into alignment with your highest version of yourself, your highest version of your life, and a journey of healing. Because a lot of times I think that we use our manifestations and our goals and our desires as like a carrot on a stick in order to motivate us to become the person that we really truly know we can and want to be. So it's not just a journey of creating, it's also a journey of becoming. So that's where the radical self-love helps with the manifestation and how it all blends together.
I love that so much. Like I truly feel that was one of the big things for me, was that I just wasn't feeling aligned. And like 4 years ago, I was a classic manic manifester. Like I would try so hard to make things happen for my life. And it was like I was trying too hard rather than just being, feeling, like actually understanding what I wanted and why I wanted it. Like it was like I was wanting things just because of the facade or whatever. Like you go through this phase in your life, and I think most people do, where it's not actually something that you desire, but what you think people think you should have. Like, you know, whatever, the fancy bags, the fancy car, the fancy house, this and that, all these things, when you're not actually getting down to the feeling of it all. And like, why do you want those things? Like, what are you going to do with them? Is that really what your life is about? Like, and I think that when we're thinking like, oh, I want to manifest that car, or I want to manifest that house, or whatever it is, people aren't actually understanding the desire behind what they're manifesting, right? So it comes down to that emotion. It comes down to that feeling, and it's getting down to that root cause of what's going on, what has gone on in your life to make you want to desire these things. And, you know, when you get down to it, then you break it down and you're like, oh, snap, like that isn't really what I'm seeking. You know, freedom for me, freedom, not necessarily financial freedom. Yes, financial freedom, but financial freedom to the extent where I can, you know, pay for my family to come and visit me. I can go to Portugal and visit my other family there, like things like that. Like, so it's not just money to like showboat, right? Like, so what do you want to do with your money? I want to be able to, you know, invest in myself more, all that stuff. So like getting down to the real root cause for your life and understanding what it is you really want for yourself and looking at it from a clear picture. How can people like, what do you suggest other than writing, journaling, to kind of set their intention, right? Like, what are some tools that people can tap into the emotional side to tap into really what they desire?
Yeah, this is a great point that you bring up. And exactly what you're talking about is something that I've written about in some of my books and I speak on a lot. And it's what I call the difference between your surface desire and your genuine desire. So the surface desire, and I don't mean surface in like a judgmental negative way. I just mean it's not the deepest desire, right? So we're not judging our surface desire. So you can want the car, you can want the house, like all that is super fun and awesome and valid. And there's probably a deeper reason why you want it. Like you said, that has to do with feeling. So I always get people to ask themselves whether you want to meditate on it, journal on it, whatever form works for you. Like, what is it that I say that I want? What is it that I think that I want? AKA, what do I want? But then once you've identified that, taking it a step further, why do I want it? And you can also question this with different verbiage and say, how do I think I'm going to feel when I'm in this experience, when I have this thing? So for example, if you want the dream home, you say, I want my dream home. This is what it looks like. Super excited, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into, well, how do I think I'm going to feel in this home? I feel like when I'm in my dream home, I'm going to feel secure. I'm going to feel like luxurious, surrounded by beauty. I'm going to feel maybe successful, like I made it. Like, what are the feelings that you're really after? And how can we temporarily bypass the desire in order to get to your genuine desire, which is how you want to feel? What is stopping you from feeling luxurious, surrounded by beauty? What is stopping you from feeling successful? What is stopping you from feeling safe and secure right now? How can you cultivate more of those feelings in creative ways before the house comes? And as a side effect, bonus, ironic thing, as soon as you line up with those feelings and you cultivate more of them now, you get rid of the blockages that are happening to you now. And don't say you can't feel them because you don't have the house, because that's a cop out. I hate when people say that, right? That's not it. There's other reasons. Once you can figure out those reasons, start aligning with them, get into those frequencies, familiarize yourself with those feelings and make those more of a dominant vibration within your being, then the house comes effortlessly, automatically. And you don't need the house to be there as a condition in order to let yourself feel how you want to feel.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
when you
absolutely.
use your manifestations as a condition, it's a very limited way to exist and live your life. You're basically saying, I'm not allowing myself, or I cannot feel X, Y, and Z until I have this thing, which might not be in your control, right? So now you're just at the mercy of when stuff happens, how it happens, why it happens, whenever it comes to you. And that's just not a very empowered way to live. So I always tell people, go for what you really want. Figure out, like, what is the goal of your goal? Because a lot of times it's different than what you think, or it just gives you a more clear roadmap as to vibrationally how to align with what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the house thing for me is such a huge thing. Like I said, 4 years ago was trying to get this house. I mean, we even went into this court battle because they had signed the PNS. It's a big, long story. But anyway, I wanted this house because this house was going to give me XYZ. It was going to give me so much of the feelings that I wanted, right? But I was forced not to have the house because the universe wanted me to create that feeling at home. So we ended up, we had a small, tiny apartment. I was pregnant during trying to find this big, beautiful home. I wanted to have the nursery. I wanted to all that stuff, right? No, I was forced to almost birth my child at home, which kind of a good thing. I wanted to be at home for as long as I was, but and then be at home in this small, tiny apartment with my new family and create that feeling of home within this small, tiny apartment, right? Once I created that feeling and I got over that, like then all of a sudden this other house came on the market, which was so perfect for us. And we ended up being in that house. Now, 2 years later, we're in Sarasota and we're in a whole nother situation in our life. But it's always comes back to home to me. What creates the feeling of home within my heart? And I have crazy dreams on like all kinds of things that relate back to my home life from like when I was a child, and creating that feeling now within is such a huge piece of me actually um, receiving a lot of my manifestations in my life. But 4 years ago, my head was not there. I was resisting that shit for a long time ago. I was resisting that a lot. So how can I know we say like we have to live more into that feeling of what you're trying to create. So I think a lot of the time people are like, well, how can I do that though? If I don't have that, if I don't have the house or I don't have that thing. So what are ways that people can start to implement their actual feelings? Like what tools in the toolbox, I guess you would say, would you use?
Yeah. So I'll give two like overarching themes and then we can go into some examples. So first, you have to get creative. You have to get creative in different ways that you can access right now, different resources that you have at your disposal right now that can help you cultivate the feelings that you want. And two, you have to troubleshoot any resistance, which looks like asking yourself, what's stopping me from feeling how I want to feel right now? Is it a story? Is it a habit? Is it a belief? Is it something I'm telling myself? Is it something that's been taught to me? Like, what are the things? Usually they're internal. And if you have external resistance, it's just a mirror of your internal resistance, by the way. So if you can figure out your internal resistance to feeling how you want to feel, or what's hindering you and blocking you from feeling how you want to feel, that has nothing to do with the manifestation coming or not, I promise you, then you can align your energy much more easily. And also, like I said before, you have to get creative. So for example, let's say you want to manifest the love of your life. You're ready to meet the one. You've been through the dating ringer. Your dating life is freaking train wreck after train wreck. Or maybe there's a couple good ones sprinkled in there, but you haven't met the one, right? You're a little jaded. You're a little traumatized, but you're a hopeless romantic and you're ready. You think you're ready. So you're like, universe, I want to meet my person. I'm ready to meet my soulmate. I want to get married. Let's do this. Super pumped. But subconsciously in the back of your mind, if you were to be really honest with yourself, there might be a part of you that's still hurt from the last relationship. There might be a part of you that's really scared to love again. There might be a part of you that hates dating so much that's going to literally just keep you in your house and not let you take action on your desire, right? So there's this push-pull energy. A part of you, the conscious part of your brain, is like, yes, this is what I want. But other parts in the background, sneaking around in your subconscious mind, are like, no, we're not on board. We don't want this yet. We're not ready. Love sucks. Dating never works for me, blah, blah, blah. So that's like where I come in as a transformation facilitator and help people like reassess, rewire, redo those stories so that they're not causing like self-sabotaging behavior or not causing you to subconsciously push away what you actually want, right? So that's a form of troubleshooting your resistance. And then going back to our first process, okay, why do I want to be in this relationship? How do I think I'm going to feel when I have it? Well, I think I'm going to feel really valued. I think I'm going to feel like I can contribute something to someone's life. I'm going to feel, like really loved. I'm going to feel secure. So whatever those feelings are for you, then we go back to the drawing board and we get creative. Okay, where in my life do I already feel valued, or can I feel more valued? Maybe at work, I'm doing a great job and I just take in compliments more often. I'm like, wow, look at how valued I am here, right? Or where can I give and receive more love? Maybe it's with your pet. Maybe it's with your sister. Maybe it's with your friends, like having that exchange. Where can I romance myself? Taking yourself on a little date and not making it mean that you're single, like just doing it for fun, There are many ways where you can not act as if, but get into the vibration of what you're wanting to feel without having to meet that person first. So it's all about the creativity and the resistance troubleshooting. Does that make sense?
I do. I love that. Yeah, I do love that. And it makes sense how you broke it down for sure. And I think the love thing is perfect this time of year, right? Because let's face it, Love Day, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, right? And we're all talking about self-love. And I thought it was so funny. I actually saw on one of something, it might have been in a podcast or something that you wrote before. And it was like, yeah, you need to love yourself, but you don't need to love yourself, only love yourself enough so then you receive the relationship. Like, because that's so true, right? So many people out there are saying like, you need to love yourself before you attract the right partner. Well, yeah, there's a little bit to say for that, but again, it is that feeling that you're trying to create and understanding that you can create love in other areas of your life, not just with yourself, but that is piece of it. And then understanding that you can create the validation like for work and stuff. I think that's a huge piece because when you're missing something in your life, that's all you focus on. You hyper focus about what you're missing rather than what you already have. And that brings us back to gratitude, right? When we are grateful for the things that we do have and we can see the beauty and the small things, say, for example, you start to realize that you do cultivate a lot of the feeling that you're searching for somewhere else with something else. And then once you continuously and abundantly build that up, you're able to bring in more of what the universe knows you're ready for. Because it's not going to give it to you until you're ready. So you have to show, it's like you have to prove it. Like you have to prove to the universe that you're ready for it right before it's about to come to you.
Yeah.
So
and whenever you want something, whether it's from another person, like I want to be adored and worshipped by this person, or whether you want to experience something from your life, you have to first look within and be like, okay, how can I start to gift this to myself first and not make it mean anything bad? Because this is where people get tangled up. They say, oh, well, if I have to worship and adore myself, then that's just because I failed at relationships and I'm single and this sucks. Like, no, we get rid of the whole last part, right? Like, I'm waiting for my person to come and I'm sure they're going to be amazing and do this for me. And in the meantime, because I deserve it and I'm so awesome, I am going to worship myself. Why not? That's a very different vibration than doing it from a place of lack, a place of frustration, a place of annoyance, because the universe doesn't respond super well to frustration, annoyance, lack. And another example, let's say you want to feel more joy from your life. You want to manifest more joyful, fun, happy experiences. This is another place where you have to be really honest with yourself. Like, am I withholding my joy because I'm living my life conditionally? Is there space in my day to create more joy, to pencil in more joy? Is there a mantra or a mindset that I need to adopt in order to feel more joyful in general without circumstances having to change? Because it's the inner tweaks, the inner changes, the vibrational shifts that happen within you that are going to manifest the reality that you want outside of you. Because the law of attraction can also be described as, and is often described as, the law of mirroring. It's really showing you what is happening within you, because the universe is very micro, macro, right? If you are a fractal of the universe, whatever is going on inside of you is also going to be reflected around you. And it's set up like this to be a learning playground where if you don't like what you're interacting with, if you don't like what you're seeing, that's going to be mirrored back to you. And you get to go internal and be like, okay, what do I want to shift inside of me? How do I need to shift, change, transform, heal, become that person that I want to be, that has that dream life? And then it's 99.9% easier to manifest the dream life where, yes, you're still taking action, you're still co-creating, you're still going out there in the 3D and doing stuff, but it's not going to feel so hard. It's not going to feel so effortful. And it's not going to feel like you have to push and make it happen in a hard, drudgery way.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Awesome. So I'm going to back up a little bit because we talked a little bit in the beginning about affirmations. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with how to actually create one that works for them. So, we can go online and we can look at positive affirmations. I've even given my clients some to like guide them to create their own. But like, how would you tell people is the best way for them to actually create an authentic affirmation that will successfully work for them?
I love the wording authentic affirmations, because the narrative since the 80s in the self-help world is like, fake it till you make it, right? If you just say it enough times, you'll start to believe it. But honestly, if you feel really misaligned when you say something, like let's say if you're like, I'm a billionaire, and you're like clearly not a billionaire, right? If you feel that split in your consciousness, if you feel that like untrueness, you're going to do more damage to your psyche than like help. You're just going to feel like a fraud, you're going to feel like a liar, and you're going to like mess up your energy. So instead of lying your way to the top where you want to go, a better way is to really tailor the affirmations so that they feel good to you. So you have to sometimes play around with the wording. Like, in this example, I'm becoming better and better with money every day. I'm really excited to learn how to make more money. I'm open to receiving more money than I ever have before. I'm on a path to wealth. So it's still like in the first person present tense, but you maybe change the verbiage a little bit so that it feels more authentic, more true, and more expansive. In my book, that is like the Affirmation Bible, the one I talked about in the beginning, hashtag actually I can. In that book, I define a successful affirmation as one where you either experience relief when you say it, or you experience expansion when you say it. You won't experience feeling like a liar or feeling like a fraud or judging yourself. You'll feel a sense of relief, or you'll feel a sense of expansion. So that's kind of the goal of what you're going for when you do affirmation work, and just play around with the verbiage and keep it real. Like, be honest with yourself and your affirmations. Don't try to jump the Grand Canyon and say things that feel super untrue. Bring it back down to earth and say something that makes you feel slightly better, or say something that helps you move in the direction that you want to go in.
Ooh, kind of like the emotional
Yeah,
guidance
which is
scale,
like
right?
my whole
Like
first book is
a
based
little
on
bit
that. Like
better, right?
if you feel
Is it?
literally, am I allowed to cuss on this podcast? Okay, so
Yes, you are.
literally, like, if you
Yes.
feel shitty about your finances, there's a whole page of affirmations that help you feel slightly less shitty. And then you move to the next page where you feel a little bit more open. And then you move to the next page where you feel a little bit more hopeful. And then you move to the next page where you're feeling good. So it's like each chapter is broken down by like an area of life, like relationships, finances, whatever. And then it has the scale
Oh, I love that.
integrated with it. So if you're feeling this emotion about this area of life on any given day, it's kind of like a reference book. You flip to that page, there's some authentic affirmations there for you to try on, play with, work with, and then you can graduate to the next emotion that is within reach. Because what we try to do is, go from super depressed to super happy with one affirmation, and it's too jarring of an experience. It's not gentle, it's not authentic, and it doesn't work. And then people are like, oh, affirmations don't work for me. It's like, well, yeah, they don't work when you do them like that.
Well, yeah, you're doing them wrong. It's just like the weight loss thing or fitness, right? Like people try to go from here to there. Like if you haven't worked out in a year and now you're going to go and work out 6 days a week and you're going to try to eat 100% clean all the time and say no to everything that you consider bad, like you're going to fail. You have to, it's the baby step process, right? It's the same with your emotions,
Yes.
guys. Like that emotional guidance scale is awesome. I actually should do a whole nother podcast on
Yes.
that
Yeah,
topic.
it's a great topic.
Because yeah, it helps you just one step further get to a better feeling. So, yeah, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother
And like
process.
generally
But
speaking, in life, most things are pretty progressive. Like a tree doesn't just
yeah,
go from a seed to a tree like at the snap of the fingers, right? It takes time. In the same way that you don't go to the gym one time if you lost 30 pounds, in the same way that you're not going to feel super bad to super good in the blink of an eye. Like that's just how energy moves here. So instead of trying to fight that and make everything happen instantaneously, go with the flow, watch nature, like progressively work your way towards where you want to go.
yeah, absolutely. That has been, and that was one of the huge things for me moving down here to Florida was because I felt that missing alignment with nature, and my body like was physically craving it. Like my body was in such a stress state because I wasn't getting that. Right. So, um, by being here, and I've only been here since October, so it hasn't been very long. I've total nervous system calm down. Like I see the joy in the smallest things. It's like I see things differently, different perspective, because I realized, but I had to tap into that deeply. What was I missing? And I grew up on a lake in New Hampshire, like was always outside. So I knew it comes back to that home piece for me. What makes home feel home to me? And it is nature. It is being able to be in nature. It's not necessarily the house you're living in. So, but doing that deep work, guys, to kind of figure out what is it that you are desiring. And journaling's a huge thing. What is this dream jar that I've heard you talk about?
Yeah. So my co-host of my podcast. So our podcast is called High Vibe in It. I co-host it with one of my best friends, Lindsay Robinson. She's a hypnotherapist and she's huge into the dream jar, which is really just another way of like storing your dreams and desires and wishes in a collective place. So it's another version of kind of like vision boarding or journaling or whatever, but it's just another intention setting process. And you can have any sort of jar, or I have like a little box that has like Frida Kahlo and I put some crystals in it and stuff. And then every time I have a new desire, I'll write it down really clear what it is, and then I'll just fold it up and tuck it away. Kind of like a set it and forget it intention jar. Like I trust that if my intention's going into this jar, it will manifest at some point in the best way possible. Or like you can even I have a Pinterest board and it's literally titled something like whatever is on this board is. And it's the way that I like pin things into existence. So I just like told the universe, like, this is the board where if I put anything here, like it's going to happen for me. And then whenever I see a vibe that I like, or a dream wedding situation, or a dream home situation, or all the fun things you can find on Pinterest, I just pin it to that board and I'm like, okay, it's done. Like I submitted it to the universe. It's happening. So you can have your Pinterest dream jar. You can have an actual physical dream jar. You can actually use a mason jar, a box, a shoebox, whatever you want. But it's just another fun way to set intentions and do it in a way where you're just like having fun and releasing resistance. Like, I'm just giving this to you and I will be here excited to receive.
Yeah, I have a prayer box
Yeah, very
actually. So
similar.
I have something similar.
Basically the same.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Which, speaking of prayer, like I think it's so interesting how so manifesting and setting your intentions is really, another way of praying, right? But back when we were younger, I mean, I grew up Catholic and praying, and it was always like, please do, da, 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 right? Like, was it really, I didn't really know how to pray. So I think now it's a way for us to pray. It's another way for us to kind of look at prayer and understand that, it can look different than what we've always known it to be, right? And you can get back to it because for me, I gave up spirituality in all ways because for a while in my 20s because I just had a negative experience with it. And then once I started to learn these new ways, it was like, whoa, wow, I can be spiritual again. I can like pray and like I can believe in what I want to believe and like create my own reality with it, right? So I think that that's something to be said for if you're, no matter which way you grew up, if you're someone that doesn't have spirituality in your life, like this is another way to look at it. So don't always think of it as like going to church and praying a certain way. Like there's no right or wrong way, just like meditation, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it. But visualization, like that's all part of prayer and lining up your life for what you desire. So I want you to just kind of open your mind to it all rather than just be like, this is what I've been told. And, because I think a lot of the time because as I did, we just get going in our lives and don't take the time to do this shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover in the manifesting and the prayer and the communing with God and the communicating with the universe. And personally, I use the words God and universe interchangeably because my belief is that God created everything and God is everything, including myself. So I consider myself a fractal of God, a small piece of the mosaic, right? So maybe I don't have the full
Yeah.
God-like spectrum of power because I'm just one drop in the ocean, but I have properties of that power, right? I have creative abilities. So that's another way to think of it too. And like the other day, this lady was posting about my manifesting journal that I created, I think it was last year, called Letters to the Universe. And it's like a scripting journal. So it's a way to visualize, but through writing, and you write letters to the universe. And she said, I call it letters to God because she is a religious woman. She's a spiritual woman in that way. And I thought it was a really beautiful perspective. Like use whatever verbiage you want, co-creating and manifestation and prayer. It's all at the end of the day, very similar, same stuff. So however you need to think about it to feel good about it, do that.
Absolutely. Yes. So I want to ask you a little bit about your pocket guide to manifestation because I think it's such an awesome tool for our listeners to take advantage of. So if you want to just tell them about your new book.
So that book, My Pocket Guide to Manifestation, has about 14 to 18 probably different manifestation practices, but tailored to specific desires. So similar to my first book, this book is broken down into chapter of like manifesting more money, manifesting more love and romance, manifesting new friends or business connections, manifesting more happiness, manifesting more peace, manifesting more purpose. Like I just tried to cover all the bases of what most of us want to experience out of life, throw it all in a book, and then share my favorite processes and then tailor it to the desire. So there's meditations in there, there's scripting work in there, there's crystal work in there, there's vision boards in there. It's a great book for people who are new to intention setting work or intermediate. If you're super advanced, I would say the better book for you is Letters to the Universe because it's more free flow and you get to do whatever you want with it. It's more journaling. But this book is really, really designed to help people who are new to manifestation and law of attraction. Like, well, how are all the different ways that I can set my intentions? Like, I have no idea. So it has all the fun practices, rituals, exercises, manifesting methods. Yeah,
love that.
It's really fun.
Love it. And what are you doing any retreats this year?
Yeah, I actually am doing a retreat in October, early October in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And basically, I take a group of women to paradise for a week dedicated to self-love, healing, up-leveling, connecting with like-minded spiritual women. And it's one of my favorite parts of doing this work is when we go to Mexico together because something powerful happens when women gather in real life for a shared purpose. It's very, very, very transformative. And people leave my retreats very activated. Sometimes it's a little rocky when they get home because when you shift your vibration really fast, things can change quickly, right? So that's actually how I became a coach, is I started offering coaching after my retreats because I wanted to help people integrate what they learned and what they activated and opened up at the retreat into their real life. Because most retreats, it's like, okay, you had this spiritual awakening, now go live your normal life. Good luck. And you're just like, it's jarring to go back to normal life after you've been in paradise, living your best life for a week. So something that makes my retreats different is that they come with a month of coaching with me. So you're getting activated at the retreat, and then I'm helping handhold you into the rest of your life so we can integrate
Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
activate.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's wonderful. I love that. I want to get there someday. Maybe this year. We'll
Yes.
see.
Yes.
That would be amazing. I think retreats are, I mean, that's actually one of my dreams, is to do that someday as well. But I think being immersed in it, and that's one of the reasons why I have a fitness facility. It's back in Massachusetts. But like you said, it's something to be said for women having a same goal, being alongside one another. It's so empowering and uplifting, and the energy that is created, it's the reason why I think my clients are so successful that come to my facility. Just like, when you are facilitating something like that, and then you help take them out of it and lead them out of it back to real life. It's
And I
amazing.
think,
So thank you for doing that
yeah,
work.
thanks for thanking me. I love doing it. It's super fun. And also, I think one of the key aspects to retreats that I didn't know until I started hosting them, part of the reason why they work so well in helping you to shift your mindset and your life is because you get out of your normal everyday environment. And it really opens up your mind to think new thoughts, see the world in a new way, see yourself in a new way. You're with all new people in a new space. Like, it just gives the energy of new shift and change much more easily than if you're just doing the same thing every day. Like, even if I taught the same exact lessons that I do at the retreat via Zoom to people in their home, it just wouldn't
Yeah.
land the same. So that's another part that I
Yeah.
love about the retreats. So if anyone's feeling called, hit me up. I'm here for it. Ready to bring you to
Yes,
Mexico.
absolutely. Love it. Love it. Well, in closing, I always ask my interview guests the same few questions. So I'm going to go with that. What are 2 to 3 core values that you live by?
So I would say my first core value is quality of life. Because anyone who's been suicidal can tell you that life literally means nothing without enjoying it and having good quality of life. So I would say, first and foremost, quality of life, enjoying your life. And then one of my highest values in life is beauty. So I'm always trying to create beauty around me. I'm actually a cosmetologist by trade. I didn't go to college. I went to beauty school. I still do hair only one day a week because I barely have time for it anymore with all this other stuff. But I love making people feel beautiful. I love experiencing beauty around me. I always want to travel to beautiful places. My house, I've created it to be very beautiful and pleasing to me. Like, I just always want to feel beautiful and be immersed in beauty. I want to be like dripping in beauty like all the time. So quality of life and beauty are probably 2 of my top ones. Yeah, I'm going to go with those today.
I love it. I love it. And Kelsey, what does conquering your life mean to you?
I feel like conquering your life means overcoming the challenges and the hardships and the up-leveling work to get to a space of living in a place that feels really aligned and good to you. So it's going to look different for everyone. But for me, I feel like I've really conquered my life time and time again. This is not just a one-step process, right? It's a process of conquering and conquering and conquering. So every time I have a contrasting moment in life, it's getting through that and thriving on the other side.
Love that. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a beautiful conversation. Oh, the word beauty just came up.
There it is. Say it and it shall appear.
You created. That's right. Oof, it's there. It's magic. Well, thank you so much. And in the show notes, guys, I will make sure that I put all of her information so you can reach out to her. But be sure to drop us a hello, a share, a like, a subscribe, all that fun stuff. Make sure, we love to hear from you, and shoot us a DM if you have any additional questions on manifesting or something you want to hear from us about. So thank you again. And until next time, everyone, with strength, love, and light always, keep conquering your life. Hey, Conquer crew. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Conquer Your Life podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone else who you think will enjoy it as well. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the future tips, tricks, and motivation to conquer your life. Also, if you would please leave a rating or review, I would be forever grateful, as it helps me know I'm providing you with value and inspires me to keep providing you with some free badass content. If you are on social media, don't forget to screenshot this episode and tag me at Janelle Montero and at Conquer Life Brands. I love engaging with all of you and sharing to my stories as well. Signing off until the next episode with strength, love, and light always.